Thank you so much for tuning in today for the talk that I'm having with Wendy Juergens. Wendy lives in Norton, Massachusetts with her husband Buddy and their dog Eddie. And she is the mother of two sons. Um, she has an older son who is a police officer and a younger son who tragically passed away in May of 2012 at the age of 32. His death by suicide marked the most difficult times in Wendy's life. In the years following her son's passing, Wendy began writing about her journey and exploring what she has been learning about the legacy of her son. She's encouraged by others who saw the value in her insights, and she began sharing her experiences and actually wrote a book called Hey, It's Me. A lot of what she has written about and been inspired by was actual mediumship experiences that she's had. So I'm really excited to hear about that. And so today, Wendy is going to continue to speak to us openly about suicide, loss, and the grief that follows, and hopes that she can help other people on a similar path. So, Wendy, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And can you share a little bit with us about your son and the loss and how you came about to decide to actually write the book?
Okay. Well, my son was unique. A lot of people called him odd in a loving way, but he was brilliant. He went to Zavarian Brothers High School. While there, he got his private pilot's license out of Norwood. And then after high school, he decided to join the Navy, and he joined the Navy's nuclear power school, which is very difficult. And then he volunteered for submarine service.
Mhm.
And when he got out of the Navy, he went to school. He went to Mount Ida, and
Mhm.
he got a degree in funeral services.
That's
So he had a lot of different interests, but that's what made him so interesting.
and
Um,
please
I-
share with us the name of both of your sons.
what's that?
Please share with us the name of both of your sons.
Okay, my other son's name is Paul, and he's 2 years older than Nick. So,
Okay,
and
so
they both went in the military out of high school, which surprised me, but it didn't surprise others, which was interesting, because they're very patriotic kids and very giving. They just wanted to help others. So,
what
and then they
and you
followed
said
that path.
yeah, and you said that Paul would be 47, or your son who's passed would be 45. So Paul's 47
45, and Paul will be 47 this November.
and Jeremy
So
passed is 35. 35.
who is that?
Son that
Nick,
passed
he was 32.
is
So it's
32.
13 years. Yeah, he was 32. So, and I found that, is somewhat average age uh, for suicide. Uh,
Really?
the military, or veterans, I should say, their suicide numbers are up to 23 a day now. So they're not decreasing, which is
Wow.
interesting because we're basically, peacetime, comparatively speaking.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's kind of sad. Um, and I've learned so much about veterans, and I'm hoping that this book will even help them, just relating to a story. Because I write about Nick's time in the Navy in the book. I actually have some quotes in there from his seamates who wrote about him, on his Facebook and through some messages. It's really interesting to hear others talk about your son, a side that you really didn't know.
Mhm.
So it's been very interesting getting to know my son better
Right,
after life.
in these different ways.
He's also a very he makes himself very available to mediums. I've
Okay.
been to, yeah, he's his presence is strong. And that's how the book came about because I was dealing with PTSD without knowing it really at the beginning. Um, and the night after he died, I woke up in the middle of the night, and first thing I thought to do was to sit down and write. So I sat at my computer because my hand can't keep up with my brain, but I
Yeah.
can type fast, So I sat down at the computer and I was thinking that, or I was afraid that I was going to forget him. And I assure people now, you will never forget your loved one that you lost. Yeah, it's something that it comes to mind for people. And that's what happened to me. I said, I have to write as much as I can about it. I wrote every night for a long, long time. Then I started grabbing things off of his Facebook stories, like I said, started talking to different people who knew him. Um, a woman that I met with, we were discussing his loss, and she said, I'm amazed really that you are doing so well after such a loss. And I said, well, first off, I think that it's because I I feel I had a message from Nick to kind of continue his work. I'm not an empath, I don't think, but to continue his work of helping others. And
Yeah.
so through mediums, three different ones who are not connected, they all at the end of a session came out with, you have to write a book. And
Oh, wow.
so after the third one, I said, okay, what is the book about? You know, when I told them I was writing, doing a lot of writing, but what so about what? And so they said, well, according to the messages they were receiving about suicide
Yeah.
and about your experiences
Mhm.
and about how you're helping others, because I was already helping others without really knowing it. And to just write about that. And so the target or the target audience would be those who have lost someone to suicide, a loved one. That's very specific. But other than that, to maybe influence somebody who has suicidal thoughts. And I
Yes.
found that interesting because it wasn't a workshop. It's the Saturday before Thanksgiving, the AFSP, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, they have gatherings. And at the gatherings, they will have, they split up in groups. Well, this one particular one I went to is a small group of people, so we all stayed together. And there was a woman there. There were three people that were leading the discussion, and one woman, young woman, um, she was asking everybody to share their story. So I shared our story and how I was feeling about it at the time. And she pointed at me after I was done. It's like, "Ugh, what's she pointing at? She said, she said, you will be so helpful to people. She said, I wish I had known you when I was going through my suicide attempts. She said,
Wow.
because you are a parent who understands and who wants to help others and who wanted to help her son, but it wasn't in the cards to help him because of his situation. But she
Yeah.
said, you would have influenced me. And so she talked about a couple of people who did influence her. So those are the types of people that possibly will get something from this as well, just
Wonderful.
to hear the story. Yeah.
And don't you think it's important for all of us to understand that, death by suicide is a mental health problem?
Oh,
It's not a character logical issue. It is not selfishness. It isn't any of those things that people assume. It's truly a manifestation of depression and the great lengths that depression can bring us into, whether it's a one-way depression, a unipolar depression that you just go down, 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 or a bipolar depression, which can
mhm.
sometimes be worse because when you go up and then you crash
Down.
down, it's worse because you realize like how high up and energized and manic and whatever you can be. So it really is an extension of a mental health problem. And just like cancer can kill you, so can mental health problems. And
Yes.
this is my passion to destigmatize
Yes.
mental health and to also take it out of the category of not as important as physical
Mhm.
health and
Yeah.
to really help people be more compassionate and
Right.
understanding of what it is and
Mhm.
also take depression seriously.
Yes.
Mhm.
And understanding depression, because most people don't really understand it.
Correct.
So I was in my late teens, early 20s, I dealt with depression myself. It
Mhm.
runs in my family.
Mhm.
In fact, Nick was fifth generation depression on my mother's side of the family.
Oh,
So, and they were all, I think I'm going to guess that all had to do with a chemical imbalance,
oh, yeah.
bipolar. Yeah.
Mhm. It's
Most of
all
them,
chemistry. It's all
yeah.
chemistry.
And most of them, were self-medicating.
Mhm.
Nick did not do that. It doesn't mean he didn't drink, but he wasn't, he didn't drink all the time.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it's something that people don't understand. And so that's another, I'm hoping through stories that maybe they'll understand it a little better of what it is, the way people act. And Nick would have made a terrific actor, because you never knew when he was down.
Well, he was a
Except
drink.
for the, yeah, except for the times when we would drive up to his apartment to see if he wanted to go out to dinner or something. We'd pull in the little parking lot and we'd call him and we'd say, we're, we're just, we're just downstairs from you. Would you like to go to dinner? And his answer would be, I'd rather not. So if he
Mhm.
said, I'd rather not, that meant for you to just,
Keep
accept that and move on,
yeah.
not pressure him. And then there were other times where he was fine and
Yeah.
funny, so it had to be so difficult for him, especially working in funeral services, to
Mhm.
be helping those people.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, you decided to write the book. You said, okay, it's gonna be about, Nick, his death by suicide, and I'm gonna hope to help people that either are going through the same thing as me or maybe even educate and be a little preventative here.
Mhm.
When you started out, because I've met lots of people, this one included, who, okay, I'm going to do a book, but you just don't know where to begin or like, what's, in your opinion, the best practices for getting it actually out and onto paper and organized? How'd you do it?
The organized part was difficult. So I'm glad you put that last. As far as what to write, I would just write what was on my mind. And I encourage others, even if they hate writing, I say, just pretend that you're talking to yourself. And whatever you're thinking about, if you start writing about it, then you'll be surprised at what flows, what comes out of that, because then your mind is going to be thinking of that and that only.
Yeah.
Um, Of course, I wrote about Nick. That was the initial part of it. And later I started, we'll put it under the organizing category. I started doing a little research, because one thing was the Navy and what he went through in the Navy. Whether that caused any PTSD for him, I'm not sure. He won all kinds of awards and ribbons, I mean, that I never knew about until after he died.
Mm.
Um, but his choice of joining the Navy and getting on a submarine, I thought it was based around his great uncle who served on a submarine and actually lost his life on a submarine in World War II off the coast of Australia. His name was Eddie. That's who I named the dog after.
Oh.
And Eddie passed away on September 28th, 1943. And Nick's birthday is September 28th.
Oh,
And
wow.
they are so much alike from because I've been researching that too, you know. Um, so that was something I learned. I mean, every corner I take, I learned something new. I had a gentleman from from Amtrak. He called me, asked if he could come by and interview me, because what he did is he gathered statistics on train death. So I said, sure, come on over. This is like 4 months after Nick died. And so he was asking me questions. He says, we just try and fine tune things here so we can do the right preventive measures. And then just before he left, he says, I bet there's something I know that you don't know. He had by that time developed a pretty good relationship. And I said, what's that? He said, about 85% of kids who volunteer for submarine service and actually work on a submarine are from broken families. And I said, what? He said, yeah. And Nick's from a broken family. And I said, so how does that happen? It's not like they advertise it. If you're from a broken family, submarine service is best for you, you know?
Mm.
And he said, it just happens. So I found that really interesting. So of course I went on the internet, researched that. Sure enough, that statistic was out there. And then I looked at sites where they talk about submarines, and actually on Nick's submarine, his Facebook page, reading stories. So it's very interesting. So again, that education part, educating people about that portion, that part of the Navy, I thought was important because of his psyche, how he ended up there. Yeah,
Right. And I'm
yeah,
sure that that shaped a lot of his way of showing up in the world and the people that he
hmm,
met and things like that. Yeah.
yeah,
So interesting. So,
yeah.
in your writing, in the actual process of writing, I'm always telling people about journaling and how good journaling is for you and how cathartic it is. Can you share with us uh, how that may have supported you in your grief, the actual process of the writing?
I think because I didn't really talk to people about it when for years. Um, I think for me, I was supporting myself somehow. So as I wrote things, and I honestly think messages came through from Nick, because one of the things that I felt, like the night that he died, um, where I stood and spoke to the police officer that came to the house, who was actually a good friend of mine. My husband, who was Nick's stepfather, just collapsed into a chair next to me. And later he said, how could you just be so composed, to hear that news? And I said, well, first off, the first thought I had is how bad I felt for Nick that he would be in that state, so alone. I just couldn't imagine. But secondly, like immediately after that thought, I had a thought that I had a job to do. Nick was giving me a job to do. And what that job was, I had no idea, but that was the overwhelming feeling I had that night. So
Mhm.
I really believe that was a message from Nick. And so I continued, when I started writing, I continued writing as much as I could about how I was feeling, which was helping me to understand myself. I did go to a therapist. Probably a year later, I started going to a therapist. Um, I had kind of run out of juice, if you know what I mean. So I needed new input, new
Yeah.
ideas, new information. Um, but yeah, I didn't share with anybody what I was doing. And that was the lonely part of it. But then the fact that I think Nick was feeding me information, ideas to look at, to write about, to read about,
Mhm.
that makes me feel kind of warm and fuzzy that he would care that much.
Right.
I
So it
really
helps
feel,
you feel
yeah.
connected to him. Well, I think you had said you feel like you know him more now than
Oh,
you
yes.
when he was alive, and I'm sure you've been downloading messages from him because if he is easily communicating with strangers,
Mhm.
mediums, right? He's clearly easily communicating with you as well, which is really beautiful.
And I think that the fact that he reached out to three different people after his death before I really felt that we were connected. The
Mm,
initial, yes, when he first died, I felt that overwhelming sense of, I need to continue with Nick's work, whatever that is.
mhm.
And then that kind of faded away. And he reached out to the hairdresser that we shared
Yeah.
in a dream. She left me a message at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Wendy, call me when you get up. So she had a dream about Nick. Another woman was sitting in her living room and watching TV, and this little black cloud floated through, and Nick's voice came out of the cloud. And then
Wow.
another one who hadn't seen Nick since he was a kid, he got a message from a medium. And
Okay.
all three of them contacted me, and I'm thinking, oh my God. So, and the message was, let mom know I'm okay. The
Oh,
same message from each one, and they don't know each other.
that's beautiful.
Yeah. So I knew then that things were okay, and I think he hesitated to connect with me again because he just wanted to make sure I was okay with it. You
Mhm.
know.
Right. Well,
So
we learn how to be okay with not being okay,
yes, we do.
right? That's really
Yes.
what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But but I think the writing is it's just so therapeutic,
Mhm.
and that's why I always encourage people to write. And I did an exercise. Someone who wrote a book about the spirit world and how she connects. And she said, so what you want to do is if you get stuck, write a question to Nick and put your pen down, just sit there and wait and see what happens. So I did that. And I asked Nick why he felt he had to leave. The message I got back was incredible. And it was in his verbiage.
Yeah.
So it wasn't how I would write or speak, but definitely was how he would. And that's in the book as well, because that was an amazing experience. So I encourage people to just be open, write that question, see what happens, and don't quit on the first time. Keep doing it.
Yes, I think that's so great. The energy psychology piece with my grief educator work, this is what I
Mhm.
do with my grief clients is we talk about the energy body. That's the Holy Spirit inside of us. That's our divinity. You cannot put it out.
No,
Physics has showed us. So life truly is, consciousness truly is eternal. And so predominantly my work is all about that psychic development, intuition development, so that you can get information from your loved one, so that you can connect with them, so that you can get peace, messages, love, and all
right.
the things that help sustain you in your
Mhm.
life without them here physically.
Right, right.
And it's really so healing. It really is so healing. So I'm so grateful that you discovered this and that you on your own realized what you needed to do, which was to connect with Nick and to write and to just keep listening and keep moving forward. So
Yeah.
I am curious, do you have any quotes that you would want to share with us today from the book?
Sure. There was a story I came across. So one of it's a little story. Is that okay?
Of
All right.
course. Yes.
So Nick's best friend Dennis, who was also a funeral director, and who I'm very close to him now.
Mhm.
We see each other quite frequently. And Dennis absolutely loved Nick. So there was this thing that Nick did with Dennis the very first time that they went to trivia night and played trivia, and then they all sat around a table at a lounge, And when Dennis went to the men's room, Nick stuck one of um, those little cloths they give you to wipe your hands. He stuck it in Dennis's drink, and which was pretty full. And then when Dennis came back, he took a sip of his drink and he went, "What's that?" So that was the first time that happened. And Nick used to put stuff in his drink all the time.
I
But
love
Dennis wrote, like, this was last year that Dennis was at a function, and this is what he wrote. He says, "Well, a funny thing happened about today. I just got back from my cousin's birthday party, and while there, several of us were around a table, tent and tables, etc., in the yard. And my cousin Bob, sitting beside me, had a salad. Suddenly, the wind blew in on the table, flapping the tablecloth and all. Everything on the table survived but Bob's salad. It whipped straight up in the air and dumped its entire contents in front of me. When I looked at my drink, I had a smattering of croutons, shredded cheese, and a toothpick floating about in it. All in my drink, stupidly. I cleared it up and the cleared up the area before I realized what was going on. I should have taken a picture. I turned to my cousin and told her that I had hoped to hear from Nick, and voila, funny."
it. He set an intention to hear from Nick, and he did.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
That's a
So,
lot.
and his cousin knew Nick well. Nick would get involved with families, he'd become part of the family. So about three families he was part of, and this was one of them. They all loved him.
So sweet.
So yeah, so a message from Nick.
Mhm. I love that.
And those, I try and put some of those funny stories in the book too, because yeah, it's not all sadness.
Mhm.
And Nick actually introduced me to the spirit world. It was
Ah,
through him I learned, about the spirit world, and I thought it was very interesting. He was so interested in that. And then again, after he died, I've learned so much, and the fact that I have, he's connected with me in that realm is, it's amazing, absolutely amazing.
yeah,
So,
it's
yeah,
really
that's where I got connected.
mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a surprise for you. Like, wow, okay, we can still have a relationship together. That's wild.
Right.
Any other surprises for you?
Well, the other big one is I never wrote before. I wrote in the business world, like a business memo, a business letter, this is before we did the texts and all of that, emails. Um, and when I started writing the night after Nick died, again, I felt like I was doing it because I didn't want to forget him, and then transitioned in to helping myself, feeling it was very therapeutic for me. But I have written so many stories since that have been published in an e-magazine, um, a chapter that's been written in a book, and then my book being done now, and I'm working on another book now, about pet loss. So
Yeah.
I never wrote before, and everybody loves what I write. So I consider that a gift from Nick, a big, big surprise.
Yes, that you found out that you were actually a writer and now an author.
I know it. It's
Mhm.
crazy.
And you enjoy the process.
I love it.
Yeah. So tell
Wish I
me,
could make wish I could make some money from it.
well, it's funny because people assume they're money makers, right?
No,
They're not
no,
money makers. They're like little businesses that you build and then you can be a speaker around them or whatever.
right. Yeah.
So, do you have a routine for your writing? Do you set time aside? What do you do?
I do not. I my life was so structured for so long that I think I've lost the ability to be structured. I
Okay.
just, I'm like, I work by the seat of my pants. When if someone needs me in my other business, then I will certainly be there for them when they need me. But as far as my work, writing, I will sit and write when a thought comes to mind. My goal is writing 2,000 words a day. And
Oh,
it
okay.
could be, yeah, and that's, typing it. I don't write it. There's been a lot of conversation around that.
Mhm.
Um, and it can be about anything. It can be just about a thought I had that day, and I just write about it. It is amazing what comes out of that, though. What I learn about myself, what I learn about others, and then curiosity rules. I'm such a curious person. And
Mm.
which reminds me, is a book that I pulled the book out. The book, it's interesting. It's called The Well-Lived Life, written by a 103-year-old doctor woman. And
Okay.
she talks about the importance of curiosity.
Mm.
And so when I had a conversation with a friend and I told her how I got through all this. I said, basically, I'm a curious person. So I'm so curious about everything. I want to learn as much as I can. Um, and then to read that the curiosity is so important to our lives, to
Mm.
move on, to thrive, to be happy.
Yes.
So
When we're going through things in life, it's so helpful if
yeah,
you can take that stance of curiosity. What what will this experience be like for me? What will I learn about myself and others? How will I change the meaning I'm making in the world based on what's going on, right? Like if we can take a curious stance, then we can get a little bit further away from the judgment and that
yes,
shut down feeling like it's the end
yeah.
of the world. It is every day we wake up and it's the end of the world as we know it, right? Because it's a new world.
That's a song.
I know. You're lucky I didn't sing it. So yeah, so just beautiful. Now, so Wendy and I were talking. Your book is coming out, you believe, sometime in November, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yes. And so once we find out when Wendy's book is coming out, we've decided since Nick is so mediumship supportive. I think that's a good word for it. Is
It is good.
Wendy? Yeah, Wendy and I are going to go to We Breathe over in Walpole, and we're going to do a book signing and we're going to do a mediumship event. So that should be a lot of fun. We're just going to wait until we get an actual date and we
Mhm.
have actual books in hand and we're going to have an event. So sometime probably between Thanksgiving and the holidays. The
Yeah.
holidays, a perfect time to pick
Oh, it
up,
is.
perfect
Oh,
time.
it's a perfect time to connect with loved ones too through the spirit world.
Oh, yes, the messages for sure.
Oh my God, yes.
Mhm.
I love that time of year.
Really, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that
Yeah.
collaboration. To get my own signed copy. I'm
Yes.
very excited for that. Very excited. So at this time, I would like to invite people to come on to camera if you have any questions. One thing Wendy did mention to me, and I just want to make sure that we relay this information. If you do need any support around helping loved ones, hi, Audra. If you need any support helping loved ones, the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, AFSP. I
Mhm.
believe that's the organization that we supported in a walk at Elevate Counseling 2 Sundays ago, I think, at Borderland.
Yes, probably. Yeah, fall. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
when they do their walks.
yeah,
Yes.
and then the Samaritans.
Yeah.
Also a good option to reach out to. And is it 988 now? Is that phone number as
Mhm.
well?
Yeah.
Um, that is available for us if we have
Right.
a crisis or an emergency situation. So, do we have any questions for Wendy about the book, her experience, or anything like that? Yes, Jenny.
Mm. Hi, Wendy. What an amazing
Hi,
story. Thank you.
thank you.
I just wondered, obviously, I'm in Scotland, so I'm not anywhere near this lovely place where you're going to do your book signing and everything. Do you think it's going to be on Amazon?
Yes, it will.
Fantastic. And can I ask what the book will be called, please?
It's going to be called Hey, Hey, Hey,
Oh,
It's
so
Me.
thank you. Hey, it's
Yeah.
me. Thank you. Thank you very much. And if I wanted a signed copy, how would I go about doing that?
Just contact me. I will be happy to do that for you.
Thank you, Wendy.
You're
So,
Thank
welcome.
you. And there's a lot in there, and I've written it all down, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
wonderful. And Wendy's contact information is in the chat. So we got Wendy at wendyjuergens.com, and Juergens is spelled JUERGENS.com.
Right.
And then also you have a website with your name? Yes.
Yeah, it's wendyjuergens.com. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And at the end of that, it's like a landing page. So it's got my business and yeah, a few things that I do. And then at the end of that, just scroll all the way down, has my blogs, and we'll have information in there about the book.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And Audra, did you have anything for us? No, you're good. Good.
So
Wonderful.
if I have a minute, I could talk about the title of the book, how that came
Sure.
about.
Yes.
So Nick wrote me a letter. It was like the 5x7 yellow lined paper, pad of paper. I'm sure he stole it from somebody to write a letter. He said, I need this. And so he wrote me a letter, and it was basically, it reminded me of the Seinfeld show. It was about nothing. He just wanted to write me to connect, because he was, I never saw him. Obviously, he's in the Navy all over the place. So that letter I held on to, obviously. I was cleaning out a box of files that were left behind. My mother passed away. Actually, she passed away 6 months after Nick did. They were very close. So there's a box of files I was cleaning out a couple of years ago, and I told my husband, I just want to go through these before we have them shredded, just so we're not throwing away something important. And as I'm flipping through them, I saw the corner of a yellow piece of paper. So I grabbed it and pulled it out, and it was that letter. So I think what's interesting is I didn't put that in there. That is not where I would save something so precious. So there are things that move around too. I'm sure you understand that, Leigh-Ann. So I read it again. I had read it many times before, and I was laughing. So I'm thinking that was a typical scenario where I am going through something that's somewhat taxing to the heart. Going through my mother's things, the sadness of all of that. And then I come across that letter, and it's like he shows up when he wants to make me happy or, reduce that sadness. And
Yeah.
that's why, like it can be through scents, it can be through items, it can be anything. And he shows up, and I'll just thank him.
Yeah, I love
It's
that.
amazing.
Love that. And so does he
So
sign it like, "Hey, it's me," or is that his salutation or,
no, that was the very beginning of it. Hey, it's me.
"Hey, it's me."
Yeah. And
Love
that letter is actually going to be in the book.
that. Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah. So it was hard to come up with a title.
It's a great title.
I like it.
Absolutely,
I like
absolutely.
it.
Especially because it sounds like he really is woven throughout, not only in the stories that you share, that it's about the actual experience, of losing a son through suicide, but also it sounds like he guided you and directed you to do some of the research and, look into this and explore that. And I just love that.
Yeah, yeah,
I pull cards every morning, and this morning I pulled my journey for the day was the compass, which is your North Star. And it's about, being led by spirit, and when you start out your day with the intention that you're gonna, check in with God or source and, be guided and directed by, the angelic realm or your guides or God, whomever you are guided by, that just kind of sets your tone and you can't go wrong. Like you just cannot go wrong. And I feel like you could go wrong with this book because had your compass, you had your North Star, and my spidey senses are kicking in here that he is indeed your North Star. And
yeah.
yeah,
It's made my life easier. And if I have a feeling that I should do something, I just do it. Whether it's convenient or not, I do it. And this is mostly by reaching out to people or going to visit them. There's always something going on that I am supposed to be there or be on the phone with them for a reason, because they'll always say, "Oh, I was just thinking of you, and I'm so glad you called to talk about this," just to kind of, I don't know, maybe that's the empath in me, but it just works.
yeah, that's fabulous. That's fabulous. Yeah, and that's how we do it. That's how we
Yeah,
get through. That's why we are so resilient as human beings. Yeah,
yeah, it's important.
it is. Well, Wendy, thank you so much for coming on today, for sharing your story with us. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
that you are going to help lots of people. I know you have helped lots of people already. And I know you said you do have a writing program that you've put on before. Do you think you might do that again sometime in the future, maybe?
I may. My plan for this year is just really just to get through the year with the book coming out, and I do have a couple of I'm visiting a couple of like one is a Rotary and
Yeah,
another one is a women's group. But then
wonderful.
I am researching, spreading out a little bit more. I want to be in front of more people if I can.
There you go.
And talking about a program, I was talking to this gentleman and he said he thought what would be great is to have some sort of a workbook people can use, based on my book to help them process what they're going through.
Sure.
So that's another project. I have so many projects.
So many projects. That's what
It's
happens when
good.
we're curious, right?
Yeah,
All these
that's
projects pop
right.
up. Well, I love it. So then what I would recommend to listeners is, keep in touch with Wendy to see if you're ever into doing a writing workshop or if you end up having your own grief experience. If you're interested in your own intuition development, if you want to spend more time with spirit, I have my Lightworkers Lounge, which is a fabulous place to do that every Monday. We're online on the second and fourth Monday of the month. And we're in person in Walpole, Mass on the first and third. But you can go onto my website, which is in the chat, but it's Leigh-Ann-Larson.com. And under Lightworkers-Lounge, you can sign up for that. Also, I do my free meditation. I know Jenny's a big fan of that on Monday mornings. Uh, Getting into that, just that space of, just kind of neutrality and allowing yourself to just let everything go and just help yourself just get fully present in the moment with your own life force. Doesn't it just make a world of difference? It really does. So, that's a wonderful way. And always, when people ask me about developing their intuition, I'm always meditate. You have to meditate. You have to learn how to just get quiet and just get into that space within yourself, because when you can quiet things down, that's when you make room for people like Nick and others, and God and your angels and all that. So thank you so much, Wendy. I'm really
Thank
excited.
you.
I know we'll be keeping in touch, and
Yes,
as soon as we have a date, we're gonna book a gallery and a book signing.
it'd be so great.
Very excited.
So thankful for that. Thank you.
Yes. Oh no, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thanks,
wonderful
everybody.
rest of your day.